Good morning, everybody. Many familiar faces. Good to see you again. For those of you new to the sector, welcome. I don't have slides. Here we are. If you'd like to applaud for the man at the back. Thank you. We actually have 3.3 gigawatts fully operational at the moment. So that number keeps growing. You can see also that we have a solid pipeline behind that. What's particularly new in the last year is the amount that's gone into the consenting phase, and we will see a lot more, as you can see, behind that. So a substantial pipeline. Don't be fooled by the total number. There will be attrition, there will be delay, but you can see how there are real projects coming through, and they will, over the next few years, turn into real material. So this is just another way of looking at it, not gigawatts, but in terms of actual pieces of kit. So we've got well over 1,000 turbines out there, and over 100 related structures that allow all those turbines to generate and feed the grid. Who mentioned it earlier, but we are really at a very new stage where the operating experience that we've gained and are gaining is truly unique. We now need to build upon that, one in terms of taking that feedback into the design loop, but also allowing us to make even that existing equipment work better. And for me, one of the things that will unlock it will be the health and safety aspects. The operating experience, and I'm really pleased in the last few years, health and safety has become higher performing than it was, I would say, 5 years ago. But it needs to be even more, especially as we go further from shore. So this industry, I think, is about to evolve in the way it collaborates. And our shared learning will help us all as we go forward. We're still not at a stage where people want to be totally competitive. And that also means with other countries. So it's great that the UK is at the forefront, but it also needs other countries to supply the supply chain. So I still see it as a very inclusive sector. In terms of, there was a question asked about the cost reduction. One of the places I would suggest that people look, if they haven't already, is a cost reduction study that the industry actually put together, although we were proud enough to fund and coordinate the pulling of it together. And this is just one slide out of well, 3 very large reports. So put some time by to read them. The key part is, firstly, people talk about a third cost reduction. There is a pathway. Be careful. That means it's possible, not definite by any means. There is a pathway that you can credibly see to get that third cost reduction and more, frankly. Of that, the turbine size is the most dominant factor within that. So again, as people have mentioned, that those are coming through. And part of our role is in demonstration sites, and that's an evolving topic which you'll hear more of later this year. But there are other pieces to it as well, and it's only by bringing them all through that, so it's not just the turbines, but the installation is clearly going to be a key part, and the logistics that Benj mentioned earlier. So the importance of this next decade is following that pathway, so that in the next decade we are competitive with other forms of low carbon energy. People use the figure of £100 per megawatt hour, but whatever the level is that needs to be once we get to 2020 and beyond. Because it's only once we've got to that stage that we can truly compete at scale, because this industry cannot be supported by incentives, certainly not in current times, nor should it need to in future times. So we will see a lot more thinking as to how this actually comes through, and it'll happen a lot to do with the projects. So I just want to dwell a little bit on this slide in terms of the progress that we've made to date. Just in the last year, some really important multiple aspects of progress. Sure, the Kentish Flats extension wasn't necessarily a big project, but it was the first one that gets through the pins consenting process. That's added some confidence as to what it takes to get a project consented. It's raised a few questions as well, but that's all part of the learning. People have mentioned London Array. I think that is a huge, huge achievement, and shortly followed, as we mentioned, by Gwynty Moore. Likewise, the Gunfleet Sands demonstration projects, that happened really quite quickly, and that's a key part of looking at the next type of demonstration projects. Expansions to existing sites is considerably easier than trying to consent new ones. In the next 12 months, so this is what's in the plan. Crown Estate doesn't make forecasts. We just say this is the data that we have. We shall see what actually plays out. But I'd say this is a strong portfolio. A lot more going into the consenting stage. Do expect some of these will be delayed as you just approach consent. There's always a quality question. Have you got it quite right? So I wouldn't be surprised to see a few of these move by a couple of months. That's normal. It's to be welcomed, frankly, because quality wins over speed in this market. The one to watch is how quickly the consents come through, and you'll hear a number of opinions here, but this is merely the plan as it stands at the moment. Some more projects get into first power, and some more fully operational. There's a bit of a gap, as people have spoken of. I won't go into the details, but if you look at that as a portfolio, not only have we achieved an awful lot, but we have a lot going forwards in terms of momentum. There are many, many markets who would wish they had this level of portfolio. So, having said all the positive, there are substantial challenges. I won't dwell on those because others will be exploring those topics. There is uncertainty in the market, but the fundamentals continue to exist for a scale renewable in the UK and also much wider. So for me, the way forward requires a steady head during this uncertain time, innovative thinking, how you implement the challenge, particularly of cost reduction, and the committed delivery of projects and those innovations. So, Andrew, I trust that sets the context for fellow speakers to pick up on their specific topics, and I'd just like to thank you for your attention.